Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Kernels of Truth, brought to you by Progress Kentucky. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I think we've got a great show for you. We've got some really important stories we're going to be covering. Really, we want to stop talking about Massie and Rand Paul, but they just keep finding themselves in the news. We got a couple of fresh from DC stories for you, I guess. Going to touch base on the kind of looming hunger crisis that is really facing our state and all across the nation, really, because of this government shutdown, because of Republicans' unwillingness to address the looming healthcare affordability crisis. So we'll touch base on that, and then really thrilled to be joined today by Zach Dembo. He is running for the Kentucky 6th district, one of the four-ish candidates, I guess, that are running for that seat. Folks, remember we had Aaron Petrie last week. If you missed that interview, go back and check that one out. But excited to bring all four of them to you, kind of, one after the other. So we got Zach this week. Really excited to hear about his story, what got him into the race, and why he's running. So should be an amazing show. Damn glad you're here. But before we get into it, I want to check and make sure you are ready to help create a more compassionate commonwealth. So we are sorely in need of significant political change in Kentucky for the next 13 months. We're going to be focused on flipping the Kentucky 6th district, as well as key state house seats that are within that 16 county congressional district. So later on the show, we're going to check in with one of those candidates, but we're looking beyond the primary, folks. We're working to shift the electorate that will ultimately show up for next November's vote, right? So we need to make sure that we bring voters into the process, folks that normally wouldn't be. It's a big job. It's going to take volunteers. It's going to take time and resources. We need your help. Please make a monthly contribution right now via a secure online website. Act Blue to help turn the 6th blue. $6, maybe $16 a month, $600. It all adds up. None of it's tax deductible. I'm sorry, but it's going to make big political change. So let's check in with our co-host now. Who are you? Where are you? And who is on your biting list? I think that's an important one for us to come together around. Who are your biggest political enemies or villains right now? And I think there's a lot of them. There's a lot of good choices out there. Nema, do you want to kick us off?
I'll be honest. I've actually been pretty calm the last, right. Like I even had to get caught up today with what was going on with Rand Paul for the show today. So, my biting list, I guess, is always permanently on somebody, but at this point, I don't really know what it would be besides just the general overall traffic in the state of Kentucky right now. Like, I don't know if you all have been out here driving around, but everybody's lost their minds. And it would be really nice if we could get the transportation department, the cities, everybody to understand that right now in Lexington, we have Keeneland going on. We have football going on. We've got a lot going on out here, and everybody just needs to stay home. That would be the best advice right now that I have. Or spend your money here in Lexington, but then get out really quickly. But we really want that good base.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. All right, so no one on Nema's biting list, just nobody. Other drivers.
No, overall, transportation department.
Ooh.
There you go.
Jim Gray, are you?
Yep.
She's got words for Jim Gray. Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, Kimberly, you got somebody? Who are you? Where are you? If you got somebody on your biting list, that's great. If not, I guess we can just
yes, I do. I've got something. Yeah, I got something today. On my biting list, I'm just going to say the 15 media outlets that have been approved for this new thing called the new right-wing press corps in the Pentagon. So those 15 media outlets, One American News being one of them, Lindell TV, some of them are not very big. Some of them are. So those are on my list today, Aaron.
Yeah, because those the folks who acquiesced, we'll say, to very significant restrictions on their ability to actually report because they wanted to stay in the good graces of the White House and the Pentagon. Yeah, gross stuff. All right, I'm gonna put on my Biden list. I think OMB director Russ Vought. I don't know how you say it. I don't really care, but the guy who is, being called Darth Vader in a loving way by Donald Trump. He's the guy who's taking advantage of this government shutdown to lay off, furlough, actually fire workers, right? So, it's an illegal move, but, what do they care? They'll fight it out in court, and then 2 years later, they'll get a resolution where, yes, in fact, you were illegally fired, sir. Well, would you like your job back? It's like they just do this stuff to cause chaos and hurt people. And it's just disgusting, and he's like, oh, we're not going to negotiate. No one's negotiating. So like more people are getting hurt because they are unwilling to acknowledge this healthcare cost crisis that's coming up. Right. So Russell Vote, however you want to call that guy, Darth Vader, you are on my Biden list for sure. All right. Sorry, Nema, I couldn't keep it positive.
That's okay. I've tried, guys, but there's a lot of bad going on. Yeah.
There's a wreck. It's a wreck out here right now politically. All right. So, but we are going to have some hope for you because I think we've got some good stories and images and video from No Kings. And if you didn't make it out to a No Kings rally, you should have, but we'll have some images for you because it was a very positive experience. Not anyone who hated America showed up, I don't think. It was all people who loved America and wanted to fight for it. So that'll be later in the show. But we are going to get into news of the week now. We got some amazing stories, important stories to cover. And I think we're launching it with Kimberly. Kimberly telling us about our friend Thomas Massie. Kimberly?
Me?
Yeah.
Take her up.
What?
I'm supposed to do story 3.
Oh, Kimberly. We had a whole conversation about this. So we're like...
I might have ran to the door really quickly when that happened to get the Amazon package. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So you're not going to do the Massie story? You want me to do the Massie story? Is that what's happening?
Please.
Oh, sure. All right. So, hey, this story comes from us from the Hexington Herald Heater. I promise you, people, I have not been drinking. Although after this, perhaps I should. This story is from the Lexington Herald Leader. It is the fact that Thomas Massie has now got a Trump-endorsed candidate who is running against him. Trump, of course, hates Thomas Massie with all the passion he can muster. And he found somebody who is willing to do his bidding and run against him. It's Ed Galrain, who I have never heard of. But apparently he's run in the past, and he's a former Marine, and he's from Shelby County, and he officially launched his campaign this week, Tuesday morning, saying, I've dedicated my life to serving my country, and I'm ready to answer the call again. This district is Trump country. The president doesn't need obstacles in Congress. He needs backup. I'll defeat Thomas Massie, stand shoulder to shoulder with President Trump, and deliver the America First results Kentuckians voted for. That's what he's doing. So because Trump hates him, because Trump doesn't have any principles, and so running up against somebody like Massie, who I don't agree with him very often, but sticks to his principles, is not convenient for Trump. Because he voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill. He has pushed back on foreign policy in the Middle East, and I think probably most importantly, has been insisting that the full files of Jeffrey Epstein be released to the public. So, and this PAC has raised about $1.8 million in ads, running them in ads against Massie. And so, we'll see what happens. He's got, Massie's got $2 million in his war chest. And he thinks he's pretty confident he can beat Galrain. But we'll see what happens. And Galrain, it was the Senate GOP caucus pick, to fill one of the 38 seats over the incumbent, which didn't really work. So Adrian Southworth did not win, but neither did Galrain, right? So that was the race that Aaron Reed ran, and he only beat Galrain by 1 point. So over just over 100 votes, but Galrain had gotten kind of the endorsement of the political power brokers, yet still couldn't emerge victorious. So we'll see what happens in this race. The guy, as I said, former Navy SEAL. Oh, I think I said Marine earlier, but no, Navy SEAL. He runs a destination farm in Shelby County. I don't know what a destination farm is, but apparently people like to go to his farm, which is nice for him. And he is a Trumper. I guess that's basically it. And we'll see what happens. Eric Dieters has things to say about it, who has run against Massie in the past. He calls it an unholy alliance, that Massie will have his hardcore voters, and that's it. If there's somebody that likes Massie and likes Trump, they're not in Massie's inner circle, and they're going to vote for their president. That's what he says. So I don't know. I just like to see them fight each other personally. That's a race that has generally, I think, been written off as unwinnable by Democrats. But Savannah Maddox is probably going to be, supporting Massie, and it'll be an interesting fight. What do you guys think about this one?
Well, I think Northern Kentucky is always a crapshoot. And, even though his district runs all the way out through, the Ashland area, Massie is from that area. And so I think that he's hard to beat. I think, and plus Northern Kentucky and the GOP up there is just always a crapshoot, right? It's like the Wild West up there. So it should be very, very interesting. I think that Massie has done enough to where there's probably not going to be people love him. I mean, the people that vote for him love him for whatever reason. And I agree with you. Listen, I'd rather, probably, staple my eyes shut than admit this. But at least, I can agree with people, or I can at least respect however you want to use that term for Thomas Massie. I can respect him for standing by his principles. And because it seems like a lot of these new Trump people or whatever we've got going on don't really have any principles but Trump. And their integrity ends where, his begins, and that he doesn't have much. So I really think that that's what we're looking at here. And it'll be really, really interesting to see. But I think Massie's got this in the bag. At least he's proven to be the wackadoodle that, we've all come to know and love. But at least he has principles. I mean, that's the best I could do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, sure.
I don't agree.
Yep. I would never I would never select that guy to represent me, but if it's either Trumper or Massie, somebody who's got a little bit of spine and a little bit of backbone, and I think that Epstein Files thing helps him out quite a bit.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Kimberly, what do you think?
Well, I think him being a Trump supporter is not going to be helpful to him for the race at all. Because we noticed on Saturday with the No Kings rallies and all the other things that have been happening consistently behind the scenes, that even people that voted for him, there's a big majority of people that voted for him that are fed up and tired and tired of living in fear. So I don't think that that's going to help him in this race. I think that, like you said, Aaron, Nema, I believe that Massie has it in the bag. However, he's done a few good things. We will, celebrate that. But I can't forget the years and years of things that he has done wrong as well. He hasn't done enough, in my opinion. But it's good to see a few people break themselves from the Trump jail, should I call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good to see some folks showing some independence. Unfortunately, it's I think 2, and they're both from Kentucky, basically. All right. Speaking of,
so our buddy, the junior senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul, he's your friend and ours, Aaron. He apparently has been thrown out again of a soiree, a party there at the old White House, the Rose Garden Cafe. And, I think he got thrown out. Didn't he get thrown out of the Easter egg roll or something else at one point? Something he's just really, really under the skin of President Trump. And he basically was told, hey, you're not going to be invited. And what he says, Rand Paul said, I actually wasn't invited to the White House lunch today, but that's okay. He had a previously scheduled Liberty Caucus lunch with Thomas Massie from Kentucky. So, I guess, it's how you look at it one way or the other. I don't know what's going on. However, Rand Paul has been another one that has been rather surprising as well during all this. But again, he's kind of the old school libertarian Tea Party fringe, that came out of Northern Kentucky, one of the very first ones, or I'm sorry, Western Kentucky. And he's probably one of the very first ones that we saw with the Bevan. He kind of came in during that whole thing. Yeah. So, God love him. He can have his own party, like we always say with AFT, we can make our own stuffed mushrooms. We don't need to be invited to the fancy parties. So, maybe him and Massie had a nice beer and talked about, had some stuffed mushrooms and just, wondered what parties they were going to be thrown out of next. I don't know.
Probably just, waxed about the debt. Just talked about the debt because that is really their number one issue, and I'm sure they bonded over new debt numbers because I think they're coming out and they're not impressive. Trump is not doing anything to limit the debt. So
right.
But we got $20 billion for what, Argentina? So is that what we're gonna do?
Sure, why not? And we're gonna give them buy their beef or something.
Yeah, if they're gonna buy our meat. No, how's that work? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway,
sure. Yeah.
All right, so now I think we've got one more story, unless Kimberly, you want to weigh in on Rand. Any thoughts on Rand?
I'm just gonna say that nobody asked me if I wanted some Argentinian meat. I've been to Argentina before for the Miss World Plus pageant, and it's beautiful. However, I don't know if I want beef from there. And talking about beef, is it going to be, are Kentuckians going to be able to buy beef? Not only has beef gone up in the double digits in percentages, but also a lot of Kentuckians, almost 600,000 Kentuckians, are in a very scary, stressful time. That's what our governor, Andy Beshear, said. And I've got a lot of information here from the Kentucky Lantern. Thank you. Our governor did. He was very proactive, and he was able to get $9.1 million temporarily, what they want to call a temporary lifeline, after the pandemic era funding expired. But he was able to give that for meals for seniors. And you could put that in the mind of Meals on Wheels that delivers those meals to our disabled and seniors. So a lot of families are very scared right now all over the country. It was said by the USDA that no state is to load any monies onto the EBT cards. The EBT cards are what they put the food stamps on, almost like a debit card for food stamps when they go to the grocery stores. So there's less than 2 weeks for November, and the government is still shut down. This is the reason why. And our governor said that while the shutdown continues, and Kentucky is not going to receive funds for SNAP or for KTAP, which is temporary assistance for needy families, which gives about 15,000 families with children temporary assistance. So the governor has been staying up, burning the midnight oil, trying to come up with a way, trying to come up with some money. And also they've said that 1 in 8 of our people, which many are children, will be affected. This is scary. However, I've been seeing on local news stations all over the country, including some in Lexington and here in Louisville, that a lot of the agencies are going to be stepping up to the plate, working along with the governor's initiative on this, that they're going to step up to the plate more than what they normally do. But it is a challenge because they are not getting the funds and the donations normally that they would. but they're going to try to step up and help everyone so that no Kentuckian could face hunger for next month. So they're hoping that there will be some extra funding provided by Congress. Hopefully these families will be able to get the back monies when the government opens back up. But it's still a scary time, a stressful time for all Kentuckians, because the rest of us that are able to buy groceries are going to be most certainly most concerned about those that can't.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Kim, just to bounce off that, I just saw today that one of the mountain counties, one of the superintendents had said that, if this shutdown continues through November, then they're worried about Head Start. And, we're talking about, this is impacting the most in need Kentuckians and folks throughout this Commonwealth and throughout the country. And, Head Start is something that, a lot of children have benefited from, especially in Eastern Kentucky, where I'm from. And I think that this is, it's a really, really, really terrible time right now. And, I just hope that we can all come together as a community across, Louisville, Lexington, Paducah, all of us, and really get ourselves together and say, we're Kentuckians. We can't continue to do this. We can't continue to live this way and allow our government to treat us this way. And when I say us, I mean all of us. We're all Kentuckians. And exactly. I hope that our communities come together. I know we're going to be trying to do all kinds of things to get our families in touch with resources for food. Obviously, we worry about our kids in school because we know that not every district is paying for free lunch for kids. And there's a lot that needs to be done. And just to be honest, you all, we're going to be the ones that has to do it, to fix it. It's not going to be anybody else coming in from anywhere with some fancy ideas to do whatever. Nobody with a magic bullet or magic water or, any kind of pixie dust is going to be able to fix this. It's going to have to be us. And that was why I was glad to see the pictures from the rallies on Saturday. But we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got to do it quickly, because we've got to have our kids, our seniors, our folks that aren't able to work, all of those folks, and people who are working but rely on assistance because they're just simply not making enough. Because again, what's the minimum wage here? What is the minimum wage in Kentucky? So we've got a lot of problems, and we're going to have to be the ones to fix them at the community level.
No, I think that's right. I think, that the idea that communities are going to come together and help people out is really important, right? So God's Pantry is going to be like overwhelmed with need. So we're all going to step up and help out, right? And this is, it sucks because it really comes down to the fact that there's, folks in DC who just don't care and are not willing to, because again, this is horrible that these federal funds are running out, but they're running out because the Republicans will not negotiate about the healthcare premiums going through the roof for people.
And they've gone up for everybody. Let's be very clear. Mine have increased, my out-of-pockets increased at least by four times, like over what it should. So, this is not just affecting people on that do ACA or whatever. This is affecting everybody, because if one insurance company does it, they're all going to do it. Yeah. And that's exactly what we see.
Yeah, and then when people opt out because they can't afford it, that means you've got, it's probably the young and the healthy who opt out, so that it, boosts the cost for everyone else because the pool gets kind of sicker. So it's rough, and we need to see some leadership, and that's not what we're seeing right now. Pretty fair to say there.
No, we're seeing the White House get torn down. So hey,
yeah, apparently there is money. Yeah, not money for senior meals, not money for healthcare, but certainly money for a
ballroom.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's do a story of hope. Then we're going to get to our interview, right? So this weekend was the single largest day of protest in U.S. history, which was amazing. If you did not get out to a No Kings rally, you should just make sure you spend some time with the pics and the videos, because it's truly amazing. There were 28 events across Kentucky, over nearly 3,000 across the country. Again, the single biggest day of protest in U.S. history. Truly phenomenal. We got some pictures up here from Paducah. We got them from London. We got them from Bowling Green. We've got just really all across the country an amazing response. It was, and we got some clips to show as well, but there were, I think, 300 folks, 2 dinosaurs in Moorhead, along with 3 congressional candidates. Eva Daley, who is an abortion access activist and candidate for U.S. Congress. Ned Pillersdorf, our friend Ned, who is the attorney that helped a lot of people out with Social Security in the wake of the Eric Kahn fiasco. He's running for the 5th Congressional District against Hal Rogers. And then Logan Forsyth, who is an attorney running for the U.S. Senate. That open Senate seat. So yeah, those folks were all in Moorhead. I think a couple of them, all of them went on to London as well. But there were hundreds of folks in London, hundreds of folks in Owensboro, about 1,000 folks up in Florence in northern Kentucky, over 1,000 folks in Paducah, about 1,000 folks in Berea, about 1,000 in Frankfurt. Like, these aren't enormous towns. The turnout was like just phenomenal. About 10,000 folks apparently in Louisville. And of course, we were just thrilled about Lexington. That was the one that we were, really helping to organize along with our amazing coalition of groups. But we had, I think these are some of the clips of folks in Lexington. We had about 8,000 plus folks turn out. The march itself was truly phenomenal. The first time that any of these big mass mobilizations in opposition to Trump 2.0 really did take to the streets in Lexington. And it was an amazing view. It took 20 minutes for that march to pass by the Kentucky Theater, according to the theater manager there, Fred. Watched it all. And, got to imagine there's some annoyed folks in traffic, maybe like Nema earlier complaining about the traffic.
I would never complain about protest traffic. No.
But people are really, I think, mostly very supportive. I didn't see any counter protesters. I was kind of like I was emceeing the event, so I was kind of at the head of it. I didn't see the edges, but I had very few reports of any problems whatsoever. And I think, a lot of the folks who were threatening to show up and make trouble really were just those kind of keyboard warriors, folks like that, who were really, really courageous behind their keyboards, but in real life not really up to the challenge. So yeah, the march was phenomenal. There's some images of it right now. I want to say thanks to the team who helped pull together those clips. Really was we had some wonderful help making sure that we could document this. Flyway Media helped us out there. Ashley Swift, the photographer. So really some good images that we've shared with social. We'll share some more of these on social as well. I think, Ellen, do we have a clip that we want to get use some audio from? Some folks that were there on the ground.
Important to you to come here today?
Well, it's very important to be here today because it's my First Amendment right, and it's a constitutional right, and I feel like I'm doing my civic duty because there's so much wrong with this current administration, and I just felt like I needed to come out today and just to be a part, to feel like I have done something and I am doing my part. No kings in America, no kings in Kentucky.
It's awesome. Yeah. And just the people in the crowd were inspiring. I thought we were really fortunate in the speeches we lined up in Lexington. Vice Mayor Dan Wu really impacted folks, right? So he was telling his own story as an immigrant to Lexington. We had the Episcopal Bishop of Lexington, Mark Van Hovering. He was warning against Christian nationalism, which I thought was really powerful, really well timed, especially in the wake of all the woe to Charlie Kirk. They want to call us godless. We had the Episcopal bishop warning against their breed of Christian nationalism. And then our kind of closing keynote speaker before we went into the march was Charles Booker, really, as you know, if you know anything about Charles Booker, you know, he is able to fire up a crowd, a really rousing speech. You know, and Charles Booker, we had some video of him, but he even brought his own videographer to make sure that it was captured. He also closed out his speech with, "I'm ready to run." And then promptly the next day made it clear he was not running for the mayor of Louisville. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. We also had Amy McGrath in the audience. She showed up. I think most of the candidates for the 6th district was there. I know I saw Zach. I know I saw Sherilyn. Aaron took advantage of the open mic to make her comments about you know, her candidacy to some degree. And then I didn't see David Kloiber. I don't know if he was around or not, but you know, by and large, a lot of folks saw it as the place to be if you're concerned about Trump and what he's up to. But yeah, Charles Booker had a good line. He's like, "Fill your tanks today, family," because it was just such a joyful, positive. Yeah, it was a wonderful experience to be in that crowd, you know, as it's been like dark times and it's scary to see our nation careening towards authoritarianism and to see Trump claiming power that he shouldn't have and, you know, bending the government to do his bidding, you know, and each and every day there's a new story about how horrible it is and it's scary to see your neighbors, you know, ICE coming for neighbors. And while it hasn't been as bad in Kentucky in many areas, you know, they just got to hire enough people. They got to get enough people to, you know, pass the push-up test, and then they'll be bringing them on. And you know, like, it's easy to laugh at the kind of clownish nature of what they're trying to do and the ridiculous videos they're using to recruit. But you know, they got real money, and there's enough people, I'm sure, out there in America that need the money, because we know we don't pay people squat. You know, the minimum wage hasn't been raised in Kentucky forever, and it hasn't been raised at the federal level forever because Republicans won't let us do it. But yeah, when you dangle a $50,000 or $100,000 signing bonus for ICE, like, you know, they'll find some people. But yeah, it's we're in a scary moment. But I think that day was very positive, and I was really happy and honored to have had a part in helping pull folks together in Lexington. So I don't know. Other thoughts about No Kings?
I just wanted to say shout out to Portland and the Frogs for Peace or whatever they have, because honestly, when I did not get to attend, I had some family matters to attend to, unfortunately, because I do love a good protest. And but you know, prior to the No Kings rally, by the wonderful work from the coalition, Aaron, you all at Progress Kentucky should be very, very proud of the work that you all have done with the coalition. I know that AFT is absolutely thrilled to be a part of it. We've been in the streets since March, and we will continue to be in the streets until fascism is stopped in its tracks. Yeah. But to see the Portland Frog and to see all the joy, and you know, if you've been to Portland is a different bird. And you know, but they really made us all I think see that, you know, these people are just, you know, just a joke, really. Yeah. And it's up to us to stop complying with some of this absolute nonsense that we all know is unconstitutional. Yeah. And I thought, so shout out to the Portland Frog. I got to see a whole bunch of people I know bought big dinosaur costumes and went out there and, you know, all of these things. And so shout out to the folks who were there, who brought it, the coalition that brought everybody together, that made it a safe space for the most part. And, you know, there weren't any arrests that I know of. There wasn't any, you know, backlash or anything like that. And kudos, because you can protest in this country and not do what happened on January 6th. And well, I think that is incredibly important to understand. But, you know, we need to keep our joy as much as we can. And I was so glad to see everybody out there really, really enjoying democracy, celebrating freedom, and celebrating what really is this country.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, real quick. You know, one thing I noticed about these rallies since the beginning of the year is the lack of Black American participation. I've been protesting since I was about 7 years old, and even I have not been there. So the question is, what is one of the whys? We've talked about it before, but it's becoming more and more evident and clear every time we have one of these wonderful rallies. It's wonderful. It's great. But it did not look like Chicago, right? And some of the reason is because right now you've got ICE that's stockpiling warheads and chemical weapons. Spending for ICE is up 700% from where it was the same time last year, which the Trump administration gave the okay for that. So a lot of us, Black and I guess the correct word to use is brown, we're a little afraid right now because we know the first people that they're going to put in the paddy wagon is us. And are they going to put me in the paddy wagon and say that I'm not an American citizen and ship me off somewhere I've never been and I have a hard time getting back here? So those are some of the very real concerns. And I just wanted the people to know, if they said, where's the Black people? Where's all the Hispanic people? There were some, of course, brave, and I admired them. However, I know some of the reasons why you didn't see as many as you probably have seen in the past.
Yeah. Well, and you know, Miss Kim, and I appreciate your input on this, because you know, this is something I think that as a white woman, that you know, we struggle with on, you know, is it me? You know, am I the problem? Am I why? But, you know, I think one of the things, too, that I know that when I speak about, you know, why, you know, participation among our Black folks and the folks of brown folks, you know, a lot of it is I feel like it's our time, our turn. I mean, it's our turn as white Americans to say, you don't have to carry the load. Miss Kim, we've seen Black women carry the line, hold the line, and hold the load. And I think that I understand if you don't feel safe, but I just want you to know that I have your back. If somebody comes for you in Louisville, I have your back. And I think that we have a lot of making up to do as white people in this nation. And it's the least that I know that we could do to get out in the streets and fight for everyone's rights, not just including our own. And so I appreciate you saying that. And it is a reality. It's a reality for a lot of folks in our communities. And, you know, again, we've got to get back to community. We've got to stop.
That's true.
We've got to stop.
And guess what, Nema? I really admire you for saying that. But also, even my little brother, Aaron Viles, would run somebody over with his bicycle. He sure would, for me.
That's right. No, I mean, and so, yeah, well, I know he would. Yeah, he's a tricycle. But no, I mean, honestly, I appreciate your candor. I appreciate your candor in it. And I hope that you also understand that people like me and Aaron and a lot more others in Fayette County, especially, and in Kentucky, realize that this is not a fight that we can just say, you know, we're just going to go ahead and let our Black friends do that, you know, or it doesn't affect us. So yeah, I really hope that that this helps build some bridges along that regard as well.
Yeah, and I think the coalition work has been really important, and we've learned a lot from the folks we've been in coalition with, and obviously the union folks, AFT, have been like there from day one. This event, we're honored to co-lead it with Bluegrass Activist Alliance. It's kind of Indivisible was doing a lot of the work, and we're both Indivisible affiliates. And then 5051, which they are all about mass mobilization. So 5051 Kentucky have always been kind of at the fore of these mass mobilization efforts, and they just kind of know how to do a lot of important work. But we've had some like very nonpartisan groups engaging, right? So very, I think, honored to have League of Women Voters of Lexington joining this event. I know they got involved, I think, nationally in a few other big events as well. But and then the NAACP Lexington Fayette branch, Whitaker has been, I think, a really important leader in this space and helping us kind of proceed in a way that is going to be as, I think reflective of all the different perspectives that are being brought to bear by that coalition. So it's been an honor to work with them. Gathering for Democracy is a part of it as well. Peaceful Bluegrass Resistance, really, really important groups that we're honored to work with. And I think we're going to keep going. It's a lot, and it's too much for any one group to do one of these events, especially these kind of larger scale events that Lexington really is. So, we had our own peacekeepers to shut down intersections. The cops stepped in and wouldn't let us do it. They wanted to do it themselves, which was a little annoying. But it was a safe march, a safe event, and we were just thrilled by the response. All right, so we've gone along. I want to talk. I think we should talk more about that safety issue. And I know that there's a lot more to say about it. Maybe we can bring in some of our other partners to inform that conversation as well. Folks are doing the immigration work. I think that's an issue we need to cover on this story, or on this, on this show. So if folks have immigration attorneys and groups they want to suggest we talk to, got a few folks in mind, but happy to hear your thoughts out there as well. So, but we got to get to our guest because we let him hang in for a bit. And I know he was hustling to get here on time. So I should have just texted him, hey buddy, we're gonna run along. So you might have a minute or two. Zach Dembo is one of the 4 candidates running for the 6th district of Kentucky. If you've been paying any attention to Progress Kentucky, you know what that is. It's the Fayette County and the 15 counties surrounding it. And it is a legitimate open seat. And what I will say is a legitimately purple district that, is absolutely something that's worth fighting for and competing for. And we've got, I think, some really great candidates. And this is the second in our series. Zach Dembo, welcome. Thank you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Aaron. I didn't get to do the audio video check, so just confirming you guys can hear me and see me okay.
I mean, it's really like, who hasn't done a Zoom at this point, right? So,
You never know. You never know these days.
But yeah, you look and sound fine. And your lighting's okay. Had you gotten here early, maybe would have been able to work on the lighting, but we're fine.
Yeah, well.
No, and then so Zach, if folks don't know you, they don't know about you, tell us a little bit about yourself, and kind of what got you into this fight.
Sure. And first of all, hi Nema, hi Kim. Well, I spent my whole career in public service. I grew up here in Lexington. I'm a 9th generation Kentuckian. My mom grew up on a small dairy and tobacco farm in rural Shelby County and was the first in her family to go to college. And I think thinking about the struggles that she went through to do that, I kind of always felt like, since I was lucky enough to go to college, I needed to pay that back. So I grew up here in Lexington, went to Stanford for undergrad, and then in my first job out of undergrad, went to the Mississippi Delta to teach 8th grade English. I don't know what Kim does. She might be an educator. I know for a fact Nema is an educator. And so they certainly can speak to what a difficult job that is.
Not a teacher.
Educator at all?
No. I just hang out with a bunch of them.
Well, you definitely still, I know that you personalize the struggle that they go through.
That, but I did, I worked for the school district. It's a long story, but I've never taught. I just know a lot about public education from listening to our teachers, which is what we should do. Yeah.
Totally agree.
And Zach, I'm not an educator because I would be on the 6 o'clock news dealing with some kids.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, yeah, I think you're not wrong about that. There's a reason I only did it for a certain period of time. I wasn't good enough to stay on. I'm not like some of Nema's friends who can do 20 years of it, because it takes a lot of patience and a lot of skill, but it certainly led me to appreciate that. I went to law school, and while I was in law school, I commissioned on active duty in the United States Navy and served as a judge advocate, or JAG officer. And there I did a variety of missions, including relevant to what's going on today, advise commanders about what's legal and what isn't, rules of engagement, law of armed conflict. But the thing I enjoyed the most was representing sailors and Marines and standing up for them and being a voice for them, which is kind of what I've tried to do my whole career, is to be a voice for others. After that, I joined the Civil Rights Division as a federal prosecutor. I traveled all over the country prosecuting constitutional and civil rights crimes. Usually those were ones where law enforcement was alleged, and in the cases I was involved with, ultimately convicted of using more force than was allowed. Not lawsuit stuff, but things where it was actually a crime, and very, very stark abuses of power. And I really enjoyed both pursuing justice and standing up for victims of crimes all over the country. In 2020, I had the great honor of coming back to Kentucky to work for Governor Andy Beshear. I served as his policy advisor, and then he asked me to be his legislative director. And the only reason I left was to go back to that job that I thought was the best job there was, which was being a federal prosecutor, but here in my hometown. So I prosecuted federal felonies out of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Lexington, again, with a focus on corruption and abuse of power. But I did all sorts of things. I prosecuted kidnapping and rape and drug possession and labor trafficking, all sorts of crimes. And again, I thought that was the best job ever. But unfortunately, November happened, and then January happened. And what this administration was doing to the Department of Justice was just beyond the pale for anyone who was devoted to the idea of the Department of Justice supporting the Constitution or the rule of law. And just like a lot of people were talking about at that rally that we were at on Saturday, the goal of the government is to serve the Constitution, not any one person, and certainly not the president. And it became very clear that the Department of Justice, and I'm talking about DC here, not my friends here in Lexington, but that DC was being used to just serve the president's interests. And so in May, I made the difficult decision of resigning as a matter of conscience and walking away from 11 years of federal service. So that left the question of, how do I keep serving? How do I keep helping people? And just like you said, Aaron, it's a great opportunity. This seat is absolutely winnable. I think this is a crucial time for folks to step up. And so I went from being pretty apolitical and nonpartisan to getting in this race and hopefully reversing some of the damage that's being done from DC right now.
Awesome. Good story. I mean, it really is like a compelling, like, oh yeah, I've been working for America my whole life until America started working against the values that, I hold so dear. Nema, you have a question for Zach?
Yeah. Hey, Zach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, question, what makes you, do you think, uniquely qualified to fit this? You talked about your service work. You talked about all those things. But without all the buzzwords and everything else, what is it that you think really separates you from the field?
Sure. And, I would say public service, I know it's sometimes used as a buzzword, but that is something that's very, very important to me. And that is genuinely why I'm getting into this. There's some other candidates in the field, and I did not get in to take away from any of them. I got in because I thought I could add to this discussion. But I think what separates me is, first of all, compared to some of the candidates, at least, this is a first time thing for me. I've not run for office before. And I only bring that up to say that when you look at, say, the congressional approval rating, or you look at 2024 being, it sent a lot of signals, but one of the signals it sent worldwide was kind of a disgust with the system as it is and disgust with incumbency. I think being a new voice and being a first-time candidate is actually a strength. The other thing I'd say is, especially for a role like Congress, where you will be legislating on things like the role of the federal government or the role of the military, I think having spent time in there is a very important qualification. Back in the 70s, about 80% of the Senate and 75% of the House had served in the military in some capacity. Now, granted, some of that was because of the wars that we were in, but these days it's about 17%. And so it's always bothered me, the idea of any lawmaker, and I'm certainly including Congressman Andy Barr in this, giving opinions on what should happen with the military without having any knowledge of what that means. So I think that, combined with a history of standing up for folks, whether it's my students, sailors and Marines, or victims of crime, and bringing that experience to DC, I think that's what I'm hoping to add to the discussion and why I think I'm the best situated to flip this seat.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. And no buzzwords. Look at that. Yeah.
Kimberly, you got a question for Zach?
I sure do. Great to have you on. I'm also a Navy brat from Zion, Illinois, up there at Great Lakes Naval Base.
Okay, yeah, I've been to Great Lakes.
Go Navy. So I want to ask you, Zach, how would you address the insane partisanship that's taken over our political system? It has totally taken over everything. And, how would you address that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thank you, because it's hard because right now, obviously, in terms of our electeds, right, Andy Barr, the Republican Party, is unfortunately completely beholden to the president. But obviously, it's not always been that way, right? We all remember there was a time where there were moderate Republicans and blue dog conservative Democrats, and people would get together and work it out. And I really want to go back to that. I think the two ways I address it are just the only ways I know how, which is, when I was in the Navy, for example, and I was giving legal advice or talking to sailors and Marines, no one ever once asked what party I was registered as. Or when I was working with the FBI and we were investigating a case, or I was prosecuting a case in court, again, no one ever said, is that a Democratic prosecution strategy or a Republican strategy? It was about achieving the mission, which is really the only way I'd approach it. I think the other thing to say is, I agree with Aaron when he said this is a purple district. The way we win is also the way that we try to tone down the partisanship, which is, I'm running as a proud Democrat. I've always been a Democrat, but at the same time, I got in first as an American and a Kentuckian, and a Democrat last. And so if there's an idea that comes from across the aisle that I think helps the people of the 6th, I will be the first to support it, even if it's a Republican idea. And similarly, if there is an idea that comes from a Democrat that I think will hurt my friends, neighbors, and our communities in the 6th, I'll be the first to oppose it. And so I think we just need to stop this team mentality. I think about it being a longtime UK fan. And if you guys are UK or any other sports fans, I'm sure you do the same thing. When we see a ref call, even if the ref's call is 100% accurate, and we see, for example, that the guy stepped out, we're still going to, yell and say that the ref is completely biased. That's what politics has very much become, which is, if it's our team, we like it. If it's the other team, they're cheating and unfair. Now, again, I don't want to minimize what's coming out of DC now, but when we're talking about just everyday voters, there are Trump Bashir voters in this district, right? There are people who are registered Democrats and vote Republican. And there are people I know who are registered Republicans who are changing their registration to vote for me as a Democrat. There are people who can be persuaded. And I think we can't let the national media or the mess in DC let us lose sight of that.
Nice. So that's solid answers. And Zach, we know that you are in it to win it. But as we stated at the top of this show, we are committed to an ultimate outcome of flipping this seat, electing an independent voice to challenge the Trump mega regime, as opposed to bootlicker Barr, who we have seen enthusiastically falling into line. So you did make a couple of missteps, I would say, from the Kernels of Truth perspective today, Zach. We do not call him ANDY Barr because we do not want anyone to give him like positive Andy attributes. So we have to call him Garland Hale Barr the Fourth, or bootlicker Barr. Or you can also call him Big Bank Barr, because that was pretty much his constituency while he was, as he's been in Congress. But yeah, we don't want to call him the ANDY word, ANDY word, because there's one Andy we know and love in Kentucky politics, and we don't want that guy getting any positive associations.
Didn't know about the rule. Good to know for next time. I saw our Andy every day for about a year and a half, and it just never even occurred to me that anyone could ever confuse
the two.
Garland for Andy Bashir. I just don't even, it would blow my mind, but point well taken.
All right. So then what I really wanted to get at, though, joking aside, is as we look into next year, we want to challenge every candidate, because you're going to be running for a while, and then we got to keep running afterwards, and this vote is going to come down in a year, right? So we want to challenge every candidate to commit right here, right now, to avoid running negative ads against your primary opponents. So committing to stay positive and only spend your ad money on making your case for your strengths. Could you do that?
Absolutely. I'll say that, and I don't think they'd mind me sharing this, but before any of us got in, I sat down with Sherilyn Stevenson and I sat down with David Kloiber, both as a sign of respect and also because I had the same thought that you all did, which is I really want this to be an Andy Rocky primary. I don't want this to be negative. And the one thing I committed to them, and I'd be happy to commit to you all publicly, is I really want to be the nominee. I obviously think I'd be the best nominee. But if the voters disagree and they pick someone else on May 20th, I'm turning right back around and using all my efforts and energies to make sure whoever that nominee is flips the seat.
Well, that was the second part of my question. Commit to supporting the ultimate candidate, working with them to win this race. So
yes, absolutely.
Rocky Andy model for winning an important election.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's vital. I mean, the stakes are so high. I think that would be my instinct no matter what, because right now we see the Republicans already just throwing so much mud at each other. And I mean, frankly, I think that helps us. And so not only is it the right thing to do, but I think in terms of electability, I think voters like to see all of us on the Dem side focusing on policy, focusing on how to help people and being respectful. So I think it's the right thing to do and smart politics.
Yeah. It's like, I think it would be fine to have an instinct of like, I'm gonna just take my ball and go home because I didn't win the game that I was playing. But I think it really does. It's the importance of this is bigger, right? Because you're gonna spend, I don't know how many months till the primary, but you're gonna spend a lot of time. You're spending a lot of time building a team that likes you, that's psyched about you. As you said, that team mentality. It's it's dangerous when it's D versus R, but it can be just as dangerous if it's like D versus D, right? That team mentality, right? And I am a fanatic supporter of a couple of teams, and fanatic's not really good. It's not really good to be a fanatic, right?
Right.
We want rationality to be in the mix, and but yeah, man, my poor Mariners. Ugh. I was depressed for like a solid 24 hours after that Monday night game. Anyway, let's not be fanatics. Let's be, principled. Let's be committed. Let's be smart, because we got to be smart to win this race for sure. But any final thoughts you want to leave our audience with, Zach?
No, I just really appreciate you guys having me on. And I couldn't agree with everything you said more. The rally that we had was such a positive experience. I know you guys will be doing all the work, but for anyone listening, 377 days till election day, there's going to be a lot of stuff that we probably have no idea is going to happen, since every day there's something in the news that's shocking. And I would just say, let's keep our eyes on the ball. Let's keep the energy up and maintain it. This is definitely a marathon and not a sprint. So, be kind to yourself and take the time you need, but this is going to need to be a sustained effort. And that's why I'm so glad that the coalition that you all work with has been doing this work. And we just have to keep that up for all 377 days, because this is absolutely winnable. This is the best shot we've had in such a long time, but it's gonna have to be nearly a flawless game. We can't have any unforced errors, exactly like what you're talking about, Aaron. Like, we can't go negative on each other. We can't do something that seems like a good idea, but actually puts the general at risk. So I would just say I share your excitement, and I would just ask everyone to maintain that energy, because we absolutely can and will flip the 6th.
Nice. Love it. All right. Zach Dembo, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, Zach. Appreciate your candidacy and the work you're putting in here. All right. So we're going to need to move on. We got a call to action, because if you know us, we got a call to action. We're not just talking heads on the interwebs, giving you news. We're trying to get you doing stuff, people. Giving you news you can use to put into action. So this is very thematic of this episode. We have got a Flip the 6 campaign. We are launching that campaign officially on November 9th. We are going to do it at noon. That's a Sunday. It's at noon. I hope you aren't a fanatic about an NFL team that's playing in the early window, but join us at the West 6 Barrel Room. Thanks to West 6 for donating that to us. We're going to have some fantastic speakers. Silas House will be there. We've got Adam Smith nope, Moore. Adam Moore is joining us. If folks heard at the top of the show, we know the 45th district is a really important district. We endorsed Adam after the primary last time, and we expect to be able to endorse him again and work to make sure that he holds that seat. That's a seat he won within the 6th district. He won it by about 200 votes. We're also going to be looking at the 88th, which is a seat that Cheryl Lynn lost by about 200 votes. So really putting our time and energy into places that are most important within that 16 county districts, 16 counties of the 6th district. So that is all happening. That launch is happening. There's a mobilize link you can click on to let us know you're going to join us. But let me tell you, it's not just a yay, raw, here's the campaign. It's a yay, raw, and I'm going to help you do it, right? So this is where you can sign up, be an ongoing volunteer for that campaign. Here's where you can sign up with an ongoing contribution to that campaign. As I said earlier, maybe $6 a month, maybe $16 a month, but helping us out with the resources it's going to take over that long haul to flip that seat. So I hope you can come out. Here's some great speakers. Oh, we're also going to have some awesome pizza that's being donated. So it should be a fantastic event. And I am thrilled about how it's coming together. So yeah, that's it. I think Nema, can you put that on your calendar? Can you join us?
I'll see what I can do.
No commitments. But at any rate, Kimberly, can you close us out?
I sure can. What a wonderful show tonight. Zach Dembo, very accomplished candidate, I would say. He hits all the boxes. I think that tonight's show is worthy of all of our listeners and viewers to share it out. Progress Kentucky is a nonprofit organization registered with the Kentucky Secretary of State and organized as a 501c4. We are affiliated with the Indivisible Project and the Common Ground Kentucky Action, and we're also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is always to educate.
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
Now I can, yeah.
Oh, okay. And we are also proud members of the Forward Kentucky Network. Progress Kentucky's goal is to educate, organize, increase voter turnout, and advance a progressive agenda through civic engagement. Please join us next week. We'll be starting our string of interviews with candidates running in the 6th district. We will kick off our interviewing with a very, very special guest at that time. Production of episode 234 was by Ellen Mueller. Thank you, Ellen. You did an awesome job tonight. Nate Orshan wrote and performed our theme song. You can find more information and music at natosongs.com. That's Nato songs.com. And if you miss our weekly live stream on Facebook or YouTube, audio podcast and our show notes are always available on Apple, Spotify, and just about wherever you get your podcast. If you do listen to the pod, please leave us a 5-star review wherever you may listen. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We appreciate our listeners and viewers. Make sure to share this out. Take a look at our Facebook page, and we'll see you at the same time next week. Have a good rest of the week.